You just want to die for the guy. That's leadership. Or brainwashing or something.
No. That's Optimus Prime.
I know I trash Bay vs. Optimus Prime, but I can still use quotes I like from those movies if I so please. Thank you very much. So yeah, let's talk about Optimus Prime. I must admit, growing up, I was a Beast Wars kid. But I think my first memory of Transformers was Generation 2 airing. It was the episode Prime Target where Optimus has to rescue the Autobots from Lord Chumley. I distinctly remember him fighting a robot spider. He looked pretty cool too. The design is iconic. Because nothing says more America than red and blue, right? I kid. Now, back to what I said about Beast Wars. Yeah, you have to look past the mid to late 90s era CGI, but it's still a pretty good show in spite of that. So really, I grew up with Optimus Primal. But the Season 2 finale where Megatron essentially tries to change the future by killing the original Optimus Prime, it felt big to me. There was something about this Optimus Prime that really appealed to me. He felt really important. Seeing both Optimuses meet at the end of Season 3, however briefly, left an impact on me. Two generations of Transformers meeting. Gonna guess Optimus told Ratchet he had the strangest dream. So with the internet being in the early days, I looked up the original Transformers series. I found clips for a movie that was released. It was the only thing of the show I could find, and there was no YouTube back then. But the clip I watched over and over was Optimus Prime and Megatron fighting to the death. But then I saw a clip that said Optimus Prime dies. I couldn't believe it. They actually killed Optimus Prime off back then? Apparently so, and it drove kids to tears. So after that, I wanted to watch the original cartoon. Generation 1, as fans had come to call it. I looked up various websites in the early days of the internet. They all had various information on Transformers lore, particularly that Primus and Unicron were gods from the beginning of time, and as someone with creative aspirations, I found that very fascinating. But finding copies of the cartoon were hard. Bear in mind, there was no such thing as a massive video release of a whole series. Basically, you'd get a few episodes that were released on video, but if you wanted the whole series, you had to find someone who had taped it back when it was airing. So I found someone who was selling their copies of all the original series. I convinced Dad to buy it for me, so a whole bunch of tapes came in the mail. It was the entire original series and the movie, though the movie had Japanese text for the characters' names for some reason. But throughout the first two seasons, Optimus Prime definitely clicked. He was basically the father of the Autobots, the reason they were even able to fight back against the Decepticons. Without him, you get the sense that the Autobots would have lost by now. In fact, he really did come across as a father figure.
Save the war stories, hotshot. Just remember, there's a thin line between being a hero and being a memory.
As Spike put it,
Optimus Prime cares a lot for his fellow robots, and he doesn't want anything to happen to them. I think he'd make a neat president.
Then I got to several episodes where Optimus would show a surprisingly playful side.
Try to keep me from taking the ball.
All right, Spike. Am I drooling correctly?
The word is dribbling, Optimus.
In a way, it made him feel more human, for lack of a better word. He could be stern, but he never raised his voice.
Apologies accepted. Now we better get to headquarters for repairs. After which you'll return here to clean up this rubble. By yourselves.
Peter Cullen's performance was a big part in that. It wouldn't be until years later that I learned how he came up with the voice of Optimus Prime.
So I said, but Larry, he's evidently he's a hero truck. He's a hero. And his face got somber and he said, Peter, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Don't be a Hollywood hero type with all the BS and all the yelling and screaming and trying to be tough. Be strong enough to be gentle.
So Cullen was basically doing an impression of his older brother. That's always a good beginning. You got the sense that Optimus wasn't a tough hero. He really was strong enough to be gentle. Optimus was a father figure to not just the Autobots, but to the kids watching the show. He would impart life lessons.
Hang on to your dreams, Chip. The future is built on dreams. Hang on.
One of my favorite episodes was Days of Machines, as Optimus pretty much showed you why he was in charge of the Autobots. Even if the Autobots didn't like him at first, like Grimlock, he earned their respect.
You, Megatron, tricked us.
Make us fight good leader, Optimus Prime. Prime risk own life to save us. Bad Megatron!
Decepticons, retreat! Now, quick at once!
In the first episode, while Megatron seated himself above the Decepticons, Optimus positioned himself no different than the other Autobots, showing that while he is their commander, he is also their equal. Then I watched the movie. I knew it was coming, but Optimus Prime dying was just a, wow, I can't believe they did it type of moment. Optimus Prime, well, I already covered what went wrong with him, so no need to repeat myself, but the reaction from kids was apparently enormous, as Hasbro quickly commissioned a 2-part episode where Optimus returned to life and saved the universe from a hate plague. It was basically the perfect way to end the show. It wasn't the ending, but that's for another time. From what I've read about the comics, Simon Furman definitely helped define Optimus Prime as an Abraham Lincoln type hero. He was very self-doubting at times, but he was still capable of putting out great speeches. One of my favorite speeches about Optimus comes from the IDW comics. What Prime had, what made him so great, it wasn't that he was so strong, even though he was, it was that he could talk, and what he said made you feel just as strong as he was. Talking to some of my Earth Wars buddies, they tell me that Optimus was basically John Wayne. American nationalism was at its peak during that era, and Optimus Prime was a symbol of morality. The personification of do unto others for a generation of kids of divorced and fractured families. This was not just our favorite character, this was the symbol of heroism for us. Optimus is the hero we all want to be. He's selfless, compassionate, and gentle. I try to model myself after Optimus whenever I can. I always kind of wanted to be Optimus in a world-saving situation. Kid's dream, I guess. We all dream to be heroes, and as the world gets darker, we need heroes like Optimus now more than ever.
For now, the Decepticons are defeated, and though it came at a heavy cost, fate has yielded an unexpected reward. A new world to call home. We live among its people now, hiding in plain sight, protecting them. For freedom is the right of all sentient beings.